Hi, my name is Mike Minicino with Oracle, and I appreciate you spending some time with me today to have me demonstrate the Snap Management Utility for Oracle Database. The Snap Management Utility for Oracle Database is a feature that can be purchased with our ZS series storage. It enables DBAs to create rapid, space-efficient snapshots and clones of Oracle databases on our ZS series storage. For the purposes of this demo, I'm going to create two types of clones in the Snap Management Utility. The first type of clone is going to be a clone off of a running Oracle instance. The second is going to be the import of an RMAN image backup. Before we get started, let's go take a look at the running Oracle database instance. We're going to be cloning AuraDB. AuraDB currently uses about 1.52 gig of space in my ZFS storage appliance. I am also using compression, so we're getting about 5x space savings off of compression on this database. I should note that it's probably not highly recommended to put compression onto a production database, but this is my lab environment and space is at a premium, so I generally turn compression on for all of my shares. But we're currently using about 1.52 gig, and that's going to be important because the ZFS snapshotting and cloning technology is a space-efficient snapshotting and cloning technology. Only unique blocks are stored between snapshots and clones. So you do not need a ton of storage to create a bunch of copies, as with other storage technologies. The copies can be created using minimal storage, thus greatly improving and stretching your investment in storage. As you can see, overall, I've got about 12.9 gig available in my little ZFS storage appliance. So now that we've taken a look at where we're starting, let's take a look at our Snap Management Utility. This is the console, logged in as the administrator. Here's AuraDB. Now this is a current running Oracle instance. AuraDB is running. So we want to create a clone of this. We want a copy for testing, let's say, because some application development is going to go on and we need a test copy. So the first thing I need to do is I need to create a snapshot or a backup. So I'm going to do that right now. And we want this to be online because we don't want a service interruption with our AuraDB. And with a few clicks of the mouse, that process is going. What this is going to do is put that database in hot backup mode. Then it's going to create snapshots, those space-efficient snapshots of that AuraDB, of the AuraDB shares. And then it's going to complete. So here's the AuraDB shares. So while this job is running, I had also mentioned the other mode of operation, which is we could import an RMAN image. So let's say we have a backup of a database, this AuraDB as well. I took an RMAN image backup of it earlier. I can import that backup. So we're going to attach out to the ZFS storage appliance, and I'm going to point it to this share, export AuraDB backup. Export AuraDB backup is where I ran my RMAN image backup. By image backup, I mean backup as a copy. So I've got that backup as a copy on this share. And then I say next. So we're going to log into the host as Oracle, and we're going to call this a dev copy. We're going to call this devdb, and we're going to call this devdb. And we're going to specify the Oracle home. And then we're going to specify the sys password. And I'm going to say finish, and that's it. We now have a snapshot backup running, as well as that import of the RMAN image running. And as soon as that snapshot, as soon as the snapshot is complete, I'm going to clone that snapshot to create my second running instance, that testDB that we spoke about earlier. So while all this is going on, there's really not much to do. The tool automates everything. If I was a DBA at this point, I could go get a cup of coffee, get a cup of water, or do something else. We can take a look at the space that we're using, still 2.9 gig. So these jobs are running. Another great asset of the ZFS storage appliance is analytics. So all of these file systems are connected to my host via NFS. So I could take a look at some NFS stats if I want. I'm going to take a look at NFS operations. I'm going to take a look at it by share. So as we can see, we got some NFS operations going on against ORDB, as we would expect. So we're going to jump over here, and our snapshot should be complete soon. Something else that we could take a look at are the snapshots themselves. So I'm going to take a look at ORDB. I'm going to take a look at this share. And I'm going to take a look at the snapshots, and here we go. So here's one of the snapshots that this tool has automatically created. And in terms of unique data, it's storing 158K. Let's just say that's for metadata. And also in the background, this copy is running too. So the RMAN image clone is running as well. And that's also going to create off of a clone of the RMAN. Here we go. So here's this one clone. That one clone that we see here, this is going to be the clone of that RMAN image backup share. So here's the clone. I can go back to shares. And I'm going to take a look at the ORDB backup. And here we go. So we have automatically created a snapshot and a clone to facilitate the importing of that RMAN image to get a running database from it. All this is happening automatically. So this tool is finishing up the snapshot and working on creating my DevDB. And once that snapshot is done, we will start up the clone and create our test DB. And in the end, we're going to have two additional running instances. An instance called DevDB and an instance called testDB, all cloned off of ORDB. So our snapshot is done. Here's our backup. And now I want to clone this running database. So you'll notice that this screen was very similar to the previous screen where I created a running database off of that RMAN copy. The questions here are almost identical. So we're going to connect to the same host, except we're going to call him test. We're going to say testDB, and we're going to give the same Oracle home and the same sys password. And then we're going to say finish. So now we have a job that is going to create our test copy. But our dev copy is all done. And here it is, DevDB. And here we have the mount. This mount is a clone of our backup share, which had our image backup. So I'm going to change to the DevDB SID. Here we go. We are off and running with our dev copy. And all I had to do was a couple clicks of the mouse, fill in a couple of fields, and my copy was up and running. So now my clone of this running database is running, and when it's done, we'll have testDB as well as DevDB. We could take a look at some of that going on. At some point, there's going to be a clone of these snapshots that we took, and those clones are going to be used to create our test copy. So in the end, we're basically going to have one clone share, which was off of our RMN backup, and we're going to have 4 clone shares, which are our file systems hosting the running Oracle DB. Demonstrating that with the Snap Management utility, we can create a clone of a running database, and we could also create a clone off of an RMN image. And with a few clicks, those clones yield a running, functional Oracle database. But most importantly, a space-efficient copy. Each one of those databases was a gig in size, but we're not using a gig. As you can see, we still have 12.9 gig available. So I've already created one copy of my OraDB based off that RMN image, and we really haven't used any space. To speak of, we still show 12.9 gig available. And we're working on creating that second copy, so then we'll see where the space falls out after that part is done. So our second clone is still running. Our dev copy is up and running. From an analytics perspective, let's take a look at something else. So we looked at some NFS stats. Let's take a look at NFS stats by file name. Let's see what the storage system is doing from that perspective. So as soon as it pulls up that stat, we will see, we're working on some clones. And here we go. So we can see that our cloning operation is proceeding. And we're doing quite a good number of operations per second for my demo environment. So that's always a good thing. So now let's go take a look at our shares. And here we go. So we have this one clone that we did, but now we have 4 new clones. And these 4 new clones are going to be used to create our second running database. Let's take a look at our space. Oh, we still have 12.9 gig available. So this was the first clone that we created. As you can see, we're referencing very little data because we're creating space-efficient copies. We can check in our Snap Management utility. We can see that that clone job is still running. And my simulator is chugging along. This ZFS appliance that you see here is a virtualized version of the firmware that you would have if you were to purchase a ZFS appliance. It is the same firmware. The only difference is it is running virtualized in my demo environment. So we have 59% CPU utilization. That's something that I would not expect to see on an actual hardware appliance. Actual hardware appliance for doing this small amount of work probably would barely be touched. And there we go. Our test is done. So let's go take a look. There we have our test DB. Easy enough. And we have our second running instance. And let's do one final check. 12.9 gig available. So we started with a database, which at least on my appliance was about 1.5 gigs. We created 2 copies of that database, and we effectively have not used any more storage. We have the same amount of space available. Now, if changes start to be made, then just those unique blocks that change will be added to the storage system, but only unique blocks. So if your change rate is low, the incremental storage usage should still remain low. because only unique blocks are going to be stored amongst all of those copies. And most of all, from a time perspective, as you saw, it required minimal input, only a few mouse clicks, and the utility did all of the work. And we now have 2 additional running databases, which can be used for tester development. I appreciate you taking the time to watch me demonstrate the Oracle Snap Management Utility for database. Additional information about the Snap Management Utility or our ZS series storage can be found on oracle.com. Thank you.